what's going on? It's Bill Burr. It is time for the Monday Morning Podcast for Monday, July 28th, I think. I haven't looked at the calendar. 2025, what's going on? How the fuck? Yeah. How's it going? Geez, Billy Freckles trying to knock out the fucking podcast here in my podcast studio, driving my old truck, man. I kind of like just having the old truck. Although I need some sort of daily driver. I don't think I do, though. I don't think I do. Anyway, what am I babbling about? I just watched the last 3 Red Sox games in a row. I missed the one today. They won 4-3 against the Dodgers. They won the night before I saw that one. They lost the first one. And then the Phillies, they won the last one. So they're doing all right. You know, they won 3 out of 5. Kind of an exciting team to watch. It's a young team. And I thought, you know, when they traded Devers, I was just thinking, well, Jesus, I guess we're just throwing in the towel for the rest of the season. Not the case. Very exciting, competitive team to watch. And I got all the fucking time in the world to watch them. I went from having, and this is really what show business is like. I didn't have time to think for the first 6 months out of this year, and now I got all the time in the world until the next thing comes along. So we'll see. So I'm trying to enjoy this time off that I have acclimated. I'm back on West Coast time. I took my lovely wife out to breakfast today. I went to a car show with Dean Del Rey. You know, checking out a bunch of old rides. That's a great way to do it because you just get to look at them, enjoy them, and then you're like, I don't have to keep this thing charged. I don't have to have, like, whatever this thing's fucking issue is. I don't have to deal with it. But I will tell you what's great about those old cars is they don't fucking try and spy on you. They don't try to fucking, somebody I know got a fucking Toyota and they just automatically have the OnStar system on it. And they go, oh, you haven't paid it off yet and it's in case. It's like, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. It isn't. You're not, because you're getting all of this information all the time and you're selling it to other people, whether I'm making payments or not. And that's another thing, too. All of this shit you see on Instagram where these fucking nerds are going like, here's some things that you need to know about your iPhone because your iPhone is fucking spying on you. You need to go into settings. You need to deselect it. And let me guess. It's not following you anymore. I mean, that is the ultimate fucking control. On their way to microchipping us, on their way to replacing us with fucking robots, which sounded fucking insane when I first started my podcast way back in 2007. And now it only sounds kind of insane. I love how they're trying to make us be like into these robots. Like, oh, you check these, see what they can do? Do you know how easy your life is going to be when these robots come in? Like, how many times are they going to tell you that with whatever new technology that's coming in, your life is going to get easier and it keeps getting harder. It keeps getting more expensive. You keep having to work more hours. You know? And these fucking billionaires that are creating the shit that we have to chase on the wheel, what do? They're like the mean girls. All they're doing, they're constantly pointing at other people. It's not us. It's completely broke people from another country. Those people who have no fucking money. Their dreams are crushed even more than yours. They're the reason why you can't pay your bills. Excuse me, I'm going to go buy another yacht. Anyway, I've been saying this for a while now. We need to have reverse Hunger Games. Rather than regular people running for their lives, I think CEOs, billionaires, If we could just somehow get the rednecks in this country to point their guns at the right people, I swear to God. Because forever the billionaires have had them pointing at black and brown people and foreigners and all of that. And then meanwhile, it's always been them. And I don't know, they pull it off. They're like the mean girls, man. They just fucking pull it off and people believe it. They really fucking believe it. This country has weapons of mass destruction. Do they? Do they really have, are they really a threat? Do they really not like our freedom? Or is there something in that country that you want? At least come up with a different lie this time. Oh, Billy's got his tinfoil hat on. Look at this fucking guy running up this hill, no shirt on, fanny pack. I like this guy. He's like, he's getting a little, what is it, vitamin D? Is that what you get? I'm fucking leaning on my elbow. Can't even sit up straight drinking a cup of coffee. And this guy's here just showing me up. I'm not going to lie to you. He's been taking smaller and smaller steps, but he's still going. Wait a second. Is this a metaphor on life? Is this a metaphor on what I've just been discussing? How we gradually turn around these fucking, these billionaires having us hate on people who are in the same situation we are or worse. And we gradually, little steps, we all just sort of stop marching towards each other for yet another war, and we just gradually fucking turn around and you look over your shoulder. And what do you see? Huh? What do you see? Some fucking billionaire who just got done banging a 12-year-old eating a deep-fried eagle. That's what you need to be looking at. All right, and with that, Billy Redface. I was mentioning the other day, I flew the helicopter the first time in a while, and it just fucking, it's like going back to the gym. First day, it's like, fuck, man, I'm doing this every day. This feels great. So I'm going to, go up with my instructor. I'm going to do like 9 million fucking auto rotations, get myself fucking acclimated, and then I'm going to go back to what I was going for before. I was trying to do these long solo flights to expand airspace that I was comfortable flying in, and the next one I wanted to do was I wanted to fly all the way up to Paso Robles, which if you guys have never been out here, that is a great place to take your wife, a couple's place, just wine country. If you drink, going up there, you got to admit, wine makes you feel good about being an alcoholic, doesn't it? You know what I mean? You can't sit there with a fucking case of Budweiser and say that you're having a tasting. You're nothing. You're a fucking drunk with a rapidly emptying giant cardboard box. That's all the fuck you are. Not having a fucking tasting. You're getting shit-faced. You're getting fucking shit-faced. And hey, God bless you. God bless you. I'll tell you right now, if I fucking, back in the day, old Billy Ford pickups, like I've always had my whole life, way back with my little fucking two-wheel drive Ford Ranger, first generation. I had the 83. I don't think that truck was more than a couple of years old. They had another one. I forget the name of it. Chevy had a smaller, I guess a compact pickup truck called the Chevy Love, LUV. And I wanted one of those. They came in cool colors. I just thought they were cool when I was a kid. And Ford had one too that just didn't sell nearly as many units, at least in Massachusetts where I was living, because every once in a while I'll fucking see one out here and I'm like, what the hell is that? So anyway, whatever that one was, whenever they phased that one out, they came back with this fucking the Ford Ranger came back, whatever. I had an 83. But anyway, back in the day, if I was in this truck right now, I would have a nice 6 a sixer of Bud Talls for a nice sunny July day. Oh my God, ball game on the fucking radio. Just gradually through the innings becoming lobster red, not realizing it, you know, having to go to work the next morning. I remember that, getting sunburned so fucking bad one time right before my senior prom. And the next day I was at work unloading trucks, and people were like joking, like they literally could have their hand just near my fucking torso and they could feel heat coming off, you know, like I had just gotten out of a fucking toaster oven. It was the worst fucking sunburn I'd ever had. And then it was just, you know, for those of you with pigment, after you get the brutal sunburn and you're just in fucking agony for a good 3-4 days, then one day you wake up and the pain is gone and it's replaced by this fucking literally lose your mind itching. It starts peeling and then it gets fucking itchy and you're just like, you know, and then there's some point during that process as a ginger, you get your final sunburn and you just say, I'm never going in the sun again. I am tired of trying to keep up with these Italian kids. They bronze up and they look like gods, and I go the other way. Where they succeed, I have a going out of business sale as a fucking approachable human. I mean, I literally would get like fucking lobster red, and I'm not exaggerating. Fire engine fucking red. It just was not a good look. Like other people, they would go in the sun and they would get out and people, oh my God, you're glowing, you look amazing. I would come out of the sun and people would just be like, I mean, to this day, if I go anywhere near the sun, there's people just start shouting like unsolicited advice at me. Hey, dude, you might want to put a hat on. Hey, you got sunblock? You got sunblock on, right? Complete strangers. Dare I say, the kindness of strangers just literally out of nowhere just starts coming at me. Like, hey, bro, like, you know, you might want to put a hat on, you know, no homo. I'm not trying to hit on you or nothing. You know, I'm not secretly saying I'm into gingers but not burned up once. I'm just fellow human being here. You might not want to do that. I don't know. Old Billy's reminiscent today. Going to that car show, some of the cars that I saw, man, they reminded me back in the day, you know, when I had my paper route and everything. I saw like a fucking mid-70s, like lime green Monte Carlo, 2-door, green dashboard with fucking white interior and an 8-track tape player. And I was just like thinking of the original owner of that car. Maybe the second or third owner of that car, the level of puss that they got in the fucking 80s when that car was still only 8 years old, you know, but if you had it in high school, I mean, it was impossible to not bang a cheerleader, possibly a teacher in a loveless marriage. I mean, you were just going to get some ass in that car and that's all there was to it. It was one of the options. If you looked on the sticker, on the window, one of the line items was an ungodly amount of pussy in the early to mid 80s. And I'll tell you, those were the heroes when I was growing up. Those were the original influencers before social media, before the internet, before all of that. The influencers for young people coming up were young guys in their early to mid 20s with cool cars that were banging chicks you were afraid to even talk to. You just get tongue tied, and they were fucking, you know, banging away. Could give a fuck. Like, I used to look at him like, if I was with that chick, I'd be looking at the other guy like, can you fucking believe she's with me? They didn't have that look at all. They would come walking into a bar like they forgot they were with her. And that was like the thing. We didn't know that was the vibe. That was the vibe. I mean, Damone said it in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Hey, you don't care if she comes, stays, lays, or prays. Wherever you are, that's the place to be. Isn't this great? They just knew that. They just fucking knew it. And I think it was like a mind fuck for hot chicks because, like, everywhere they went, like, fucking drinks came, doors were open for them. They just showed up and they just got free shit. It was just like a fucking never-ending gift bag. And then they meet this guy who, like, barely pays attention to him. It gets in their head like, wait a minute, am I not pretty anymore? Am I getting on the other side of this? You know what I mean? Like before Bobby Bonilla Day, there was just Hot Chick Day, which was every day. Where Bobby Bonilla once a year would get $1 million or something like that from the fucking Mets for the better part of like 5 presidents, right? But before Bobby Bonilla, all it was fucking the hottest chicks in town were just like fucking, they were getting just everything for fucking free. Everything for fucking, they were like, I think that's the look that beautiful women have on their faces. It either gets boring or after a while they realize that they're an accessory. You know, because there is the other side of beautiful women where after a while, you know, once they get to like, I don't know, 29 to 31 back in the day, like all of their shit, like people stopped caring. Because 29, 30 back in the day, I mean, people were like putting baby oil on, getting out in the sun and smoking cigarettes and shit. You got to be 29 or 30. You look like you participated in some sort of international conflict. You know, like you dug a hole and fucking were in there waiting for the bombs to start. Like everybody looked fucking old. So when you were a hot chick, like you basically had from age like 15 to 26 to fucking land something. You know, and then once you got beyond that, it was a rough time. You know, like 15, 16, that's when you started to go to concerts and you ended up on the tour bus or on the Learjet before they dropped you off in Buffalo, right? And then you realize, well, I'm not doing that again, right? And then, this is all fucking true shit, by the way. This is exaggerated, but it's fucking true. And, you know, if you didn't have like a goal or some sort of game plan as a hot chick, like they had to get out of that fucking town, or else, you know, the weed dealer that they were banging that used to be the star of the football team was eventually going to dump him, you know, and get some other chick in there on his fucking waterbed. Okay, and I know that these are some harsh realities, but this was the America that I grew up in. There was a lot of custom vans, man. There was a lot of custom vans. Monte Carlos. These were pussy-getting vehicles. Vans. All right? Before people realized that meant you were a creep. There was a time where people would not bat an eye at a van. It was actually looked upon as like, who is that cool guy? Monte Carlos, Oldsmobile Cutlasses, Pontiac Grand Prix could get you a B+. You know, it's not an Olds and it wasn't a Monte Carlo. You know, Buick Regal. I don't know. There was something stuffy about a Buick. You know, that was kind of like your dad's car, even if, you know, it was one of those ones in the 80s that like Harry Gant drove and fucking stock car racing and shit. But those were the fucking cars that were going to get you some puss. But I'll tell you right now, what didn't get you some pussy was being an introverted lobster red ginger in an 83 Ford Ranger long bed, 2-wheel drive, 5-speed, vinyl seats, black, no air conditioning. Like the tailgate should have had a vagina with a line through it. Oh, but I gotta be honest with you, there was a big part of me that wanted it that way. To be fucking, because I was like all fucked. I didn't want attention. Just leave me alone. Just, yep, this is me, my little stupid red truck. How are you? How's it going? Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Anyway, so I went to that car show today. I saw some BMWs. Like, I fucking like it all, but like, I kind of like the sleds. I like the land yachts. I'm not a muscle car guy unless it's something fucking weird. Like, we saw some guy down there. He had like a fucking Gremlin with this V8 in it. Like a really rare car. Had a posi rear end. I mean, the whole fucking car, it couldn't have been any bigger than a Prius. Like, the how they jammed that engine in there was fucking beyond me. There was one cab over engine truck that I liked. Of course, it was the Monte Carlo. And I actually sent the video of it to a buddy of mine. Like, I can see a car and I just know like which one of my friends would look right in that car. Like this guy was like, he had the vibes. He had the vibes. He also plays drums and likes Vista Light drums. So it's just like, I mean, come on. You play drums. You can get a tan. You like see-through drums. You got to have a lime green fucking 75 Monte Carlo with white interior. I mean, that all lines. I mean, to me, that's perfect casting for like a movie. Which was a big thing when I was growing up. Was whoever the hero of the movie was, how hot their woman was, what kind of car they drove, it was all equal. The car and the woman, the whole fucking before Scarface. You know? Scarface just said what we were all thinking. First you get the money. There wasn't power though. First you get the money, then you get the car, then you get the girl. That's how it went down. And I had no money, and then I bought a 2-wheel drive Ford pickup truck, and that was it. Game over. Busted. Here comes the river. You're done. Thank you for playing, sir. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. That's how it went back in the 80s for me. All right, let me do the reads here. All right, look who it is, everybody. Open phone. You know, if you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Put it on the table. Think about the last time you had a plumbing emergency. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? Of course not. You called the next one on the list. Chances are, if you had half a brain, you moved on. What, are you going to drown in your living room? No, you're going to call the next plumber. With Open Phone, you'll never miss a chance to connect with your customers. Open Phone gives you a dedicated business number. Not those half-ass business numbers. This is a dedicated business number. They got skin in the game that works right from an app on your phone or computer. You and your team can share one number, reply to your customers faster, and keep everything organized so nothing slips through the cracks. Open Phone even keeps your phone covered after hours so leads don't disappear while you're away. And if you ever sat through a long business call and couldn't remember what was actually said, hey, you're not alone. Open Phone. Open Phone's call transcripts and summaries capture the conversation and give you follow-ups. So no more taking notes or losing track of next steps. Join more than 60,000 businesses already using Open Phone to stay ahead. Go to openphone.com/Burr and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/Burr. You can even bring your existing number with you for free. Open Phone. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right, well, there you have it. That's it. That was painless. That was the reads. Have I told you guys how much I love this fucking espresso machine that I'm using? It's fucking insane. The La Marzocco. It doesn't have a grinder in it, but the way it steams up the milk and how fast it does it. You know, my latte art. Yes, I did say latte art, and I am still comfortable with my sexuality. My latte art is going to the next level. For me, anyways. I still try to do like that little tulip thing, and it looks like a garlic knot. But I'm making things, and it keeps me out of my head. The hope that this time I'm going to make the perfect heart. And I know what I did wrong. I started in the middle of the cup. I should have been more towards my side of it and then pushed it through. And then fucking bring it up and then drag it across. That's what I should have done, and I didn't do it. And that's one I got to live with. Don't look at anybody else. Yeah, I take full blame. I take full responsibility. Remember that move in sports? It was my fault. I didn't get it done. I take full responsibility. All right, cool, man. I'm glad you owned up to it. We're still going to trash you in the sports pages the next fucking day. I got to be honest with you. I hate how much I love those green monster uniforms for the Red Sox. It really bugs me. Really fucking bugs me. Because, the jersey I want them to bring back is the 1970s with the red hat, the road jersey of that. I actually somewhere own the Mitchell & Ness Jim Rice one. I mean, if you grew up when I did, Jim Rice was the guy. Like, he just was fucking jacked. Could hit the ball a mile, could hit for average. He was fast, and he was a great fielder. And he had those fucking sick-ass... He had those red cleats with the tongue that flapped down like those fucking spot belts from back in the day. He was fucking amazing. But anyway, I don't know. They got that marathon jersey. And, obviously, I get the nod to the marathon, the tragedy and all of that. But, you're going to put him out there in a bright yellow jersey and the fucking catcher's wearing, all his gear is all bright yellow. All right, I get it. Solidarity, Boston strong. But you're not going to do the fucking 70s road jersey? You know why that is? They don't have a special hat. No, they did. They had the red hat. I don't know why they don't bring it back. Bam, bam, bam. Let's bring it back. How can we sleep when they're wearing yellow? And everything's it's flag. It's the foul pole yellow. It's the green monster fucking green. What are they going to do next? They're going to do brick red? It's like the outside of the structure. It's isn't it enough that you own all the fucking streets? Can we get the road jersey, 1978? Because it was a blue-gray with that red hat, man. It just said Boston across the front in red letters. I'll tell you another one that I like is the Bruins home jersey, the white one, the Pete Peters, the fucking Ray Bork number 7, that one, without the shoulder pads, the all white one. You cannot find it. You can buy the road one like Sandler wears in Happy Gilmore. You can find that one. I think I got a Stan Jonathan. This is back when I was buying jerseys and I just got, I wanted to buy Rick Middleton, but I felt it was disrespectful with where my hockey skills were. And so I think if you go out and pick up hockey and you wear the number of an enforcer, it's sort of a funny way to say, listen, I'm just a hockey fan, I'm not going top shelf anytime soon, and I can barely keep it on my backhand. That's basically, no disrespect to Stan Jonathan, of course. Anyway, but I was trying to get one of those fucking Green Monster hats. I just never got over to Fenway when I was there. I went up and I visited some of my high school buddies. Oh, Jesus, look at this Tesla backing up. Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is this? And what is this? It's going to back up. Are they going to keep going? Yep, they're going to keep going. You hear it go by? Like a fucking spaceship. It's fucking electric cars. I swear to God, my wife's car, I feel like I could grab the center console and just start fucking shaking it, and I feel like the whole car would come apart. That's sort of the thing with this, that they're sneakily making these cars ridiculously disposable and cheap. And with a bunch of shit that you don't even fucking need. Oh, now this fucking cunt is driving past me again. I think he wanted to take a picture. Look at, he's driving a fucking iPad. She's on the phone. I'm just judging here. What is this fucking guy doing? I'm at that age, you know. Somebody driving slow in my neighborhood. I don't know who they are. What's this fucking guy doing? Hey, honey, come to the window. Look at this. What the fuck is this guy doing? Anyway. So as I mentioned before, like, I always look at those guys that have, like, a car collection. Like, the fucking headache of that, having all of those cars. It's something you... Fuck, it was. What do you call those? Spam calls. Anyway, what was I just talking about? I have no idea. It probably wasn't important if I forgot it that quickly. I was talking about Peep come to the window, look at this fucking person, and it is gone. The thought is gone. All right. But the thrill is not. All right, let's get into your questions here for the week. Let me also put this thing on fucking airplane mode so I don't have to send it into 20 different fucking parts here. All right. Okay, this is the classic one. I said what I said. Hey, Bill, I hate this phrase too. Oh, I was making fun of this lady. You know, she's like in her fucking 30s, and she was just saying how much, you know, the Beatles are the most overrated, blah, 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 ba-doo, ba-doo, ba-doo. And then she's just like, what? I said what I said. And it's just like, first of all, you're a fucking white woman. No one's stopping you from saying anything. Secondly, everybody under the age of 40 doesn't like the Beatles. And why would you? The music's 60 years old. It's 60 years old. Trying to explain to somebody under the age of 40 why the Beatles is good music would be like back in the day, somebody explaining to me why I should be listening to Glenn Miller. So anyway, she's like, what? I said what I said. Like everybody's mind was blown. Like I was going to stop listening to the Beatles or look at the Beatles differently because this person who had never put out a fucking album ever had this opinion on the fucking Beatles. And it's just like, you can have that opinion on the Beatles. You're free to have that opinion. But to be like, what? I said what I said. Like now I had to deal with it. It was just fucking amazing. Like, oh, wow, you really think that you're going to, like, you think you just changed it? Like, oh, my God, I never noticed. They really did have no talent. So stupid. Anyway, hey, Bill, I hate this phrase, too. I said what I said. I've got another one that drives me up the fucking wall. If you know, you know. Just shut the fuck up and post whatever it is you and only a handful of people know about. Exactly. Or if you're in the middle of Cincinnati and you go to some donut shop that only locals, anybody in the vicinity are able to do so, shut up and post the fucking donut. Everything has to have this stupid exclusivity to it. And by saying, if you know, you know, you're creating this superior position that you're aware of it and the reader isn't. Yeah. Yeah, and it's also like, I feel like a lot of that stuff, it comes from a really like deep place or an important place in the beginning, and then it goes mainstream and then it means nothing. Like the whole concept of being woke really meant something when black people said it to each other. But once my people got a hold of it, now it doesn't mean anything. It just means you're fucking annoying. So, I think back in the day, if you know it, you know. If you know, you know. I think that you know probably meant something. Like you really figured something out, and it had to do with what's really going on in your town, as opposed to where to get the best jelly donut. Anyway. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of, we're in a very self-congratulatory time. Humility does not play well when the camera's on for some fucking reason. That's like in sports. I'm loving watching the Red Sox, but I just, you know, I watch these guys and, you know, like Duran, I watched 2 games ago. A guy get 2 triples and a fucking double. And every time he gets a fucking hit, he looks over at the dugout and he acts like he's cranking an old school movie camera. Which fascinates me. It's like, do they work that out before the game? Like, all right, guys, here's one. Here's one. If I ever hit a triple, I'm going to act like I'm looking through a Viewmaster. Like somebody took 40 pictures of me running from home plate to third base, and I'm going to do that to you guys. And then what are you guys going to do? Oh, I'm going to start doing the farts under my fucking armpit while pointing at you. Oh, dude, that's fucking sick. You should do that. It is kind of amazing that people can have the time to fucking do that and still hit a triple at the fucking professional level. That is insane, right? Am I nuts? It's all impressive and bizarre. But the one, I don't give a fuck about the celebration things. It's silly to an old guy like me. Babe Ruth never did that. Now look at the numbers he put up. Guy was fucking eating hot dogs, hitting 700 home runs. Anyway, the other thing is just like when you actually, make a play, like it goes well for you, then you just scream in your opponent's face and stand over them like they're your bitch. Like the game just ended. Like the whole competition between you and this other team is completely over because you just got a double. And then the next time you're up, you go down looking. Where's all the screaming and yelling then? Why don't you scream and yell then and then point at the pitcher who just fucking struck you? It never happens. I don't know. Let's fucking go. We're here. We're here. We're already here. There's no place to go. I'm going to say it one more time to be overly dramatic. There's no place to go. Defamation. Billy, by the book. You were talking last week about how you got ripped off in the business and was advised by your lawyer to keep your mouth shut because defamation was easier to prove than breach of contract. If that means somebody stole from me, yeah. Do you think at this point in your career you would just go for it and be honest and open about how they're shady business practices? What? Come on, guys, I'm not good at reading. And if you don't proofread and you fucking leave something out, I think a lot of these are just voice text. This happens to me a lot. Do you think at this point in your career you would just go for it? Or as he was saying, you would think at this point in your career you would just go for it and be honest and open about how shady their business practice is? I think if you listen to your own podcast, you'd get a pep talk to do so. Oh, so you think the older me would agree with your opinion? I agree when you say ordinary people don't open their mouths and it's just a bunch of lunatics on both sides of every conversation. Also, I don't think you'd be lacking any public support. We could all come down to the courthouse wearing bald caps in solidarity. Well, no, this is what happens is if I were to do that, the person that already stole a bunch of money from me could then sue me and win for defamation of character. So then they would get me twice. You know what I mean? So that's why he's not. Look, I'm not doing it out of fear. It's not like they can do anything to me other than sue me. I'm just trying to prevent them getting paid twice for being a complete piece of shit. And there's also there's ways of talking to people. Hey, what do you think about so and so? Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's he's a bit of a character. And people just go, yeah, he's a bit of a character. That's it, bit of a character. He is a bit of a character. Goes a long, burping up here, belching. That goes a long way. It goes a long way. So, and that's all legally I'm going to talk about here. All right. California native. Hey, Bill, I'm a longtime fan of you and the podcast. I've seen you perform in Northern California several times with my husband. I wanted to add a few ideas to, I don't think I've ever been to Northern California. The furthest north I've been is Sacramento, which is towards the north, but I never got up to Eureka. I never did the funny bone on Murder Mountain. I wanted to add a few ideas to your points about California. For starters, it is the most beautiful, geographically diverse, and all-around coolest state in the country. I'm biased, of course. I wouldn't argue that. Gorgeous snow-capped mountains to like the this is going to sound weird to people on the East Coast, like how like humbling the desert is. To just be out there in that is it, and it's gorgeous and terrifying. It's as scary as the fucking ocean as far as the size of it and how easily you could die. Mountain ranges, they have the coasts along the ocean, the wildlife. California is a fucking paradise. And it's amazing watching a 24-hour news channel act like it isn't, because somebody running it is wearing the wrong color tie. And I would say the same thing about Florida and Texas and New York. All of these states that it's like hip to not like if you're leaning politically one way or the other. They are all beautiful states. In fact, I don't think, I understand people like if you go out to like Iowa or Nebraska or Kansas where it's like all super flat and everything. At first glance, it's not interesting to look at. But when you meet the people and listen to what they do out there and the farmers, I'll tell you that time like I was making fun of those farmers in the crowd. There was a table full of, guys wearing overalls and they were filthy. And I was in Illinois, actually. I was in Peoria. Was it Peoria? Or Springfield. I was in Springfield. And I just assumed they were farmers. This is a long time ago before the fucking corporations took over all the goddamn farms. These were real people who actually had to look people in the eye that were eating what they were growing, so they actually cared. And they weren't they weren't listening, so they just kept talking. So, I just started talking about how I didn't think farming was a difficult job. And I just started fucking trashing farmers. So then they listened, and then we got into a back and forth. And then I ended up hanging out, and I was drinking with them. This is old Billy back in the day. And next thing you know, one of the guys is like, he goes, farming is actually really difficult work. I go, of course I know it's difficult. You guys wouldn't shut up. I had to say something to shut you up. And then he laughed. He goes, I'm cutting down some corn tomorrow if you want to come out. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I've told this story before, but if you're new to the podcast, next thing you know, I'm on this fucking combine and he's fucking cutting down these corn stalks, and then the combine broke down and he was fucking pissed, but he was being polite because I was there. And I could tell the back of his neck how pissed he was. He had this giant fucking wrench or some shit trying to fix it. And I said, I finally, just to break the tension, because he barely knew me. We just drank one night, right? And I just finally just said, dude, if any point you want to say motherfucker, and I didn't even finish it. He goes, cocksucking motherfucker. And I just started laughing, and he laughed. And he got, my buddy will come over, help me fix it. And we had to walk in from the field. And then he just took me on the tour of the farm. And he took me to the pigs. And that was the first time I realized what an insult it was if somebody called your room a pigsty. They are just fucking filthy. Shitting on each other, literally. Rainbows of diarrhea coming out their ass, just fucking blasting everyone on the other side of the pen. They don't give a fuck. It's like Skid Row of animals, a pigsty. And, but, evidently they're super smart and they can help you get rid of a body. But it was so disgusting. Like, I actually didn't eat bacon for like a week. And then I was just like, man, it's fucking bacon. It's delicious. It's inside the pig. I'm not eating the fur. The shit-covered fucking fur. So anyway, this person continues talking about the great state of California. The truth is that this state has been run by the same 4 or 5 families for over 80 years. I didn't know this. They have prioritized their personal partnerships and investments with industry to completely take over all aspects of planning and development. It's another subject. That's another subject altogether. But the current dilemma Palisades residents are being forced to deal with is a great example. They are not able to rebuild, and the country is giving no answers or guidance. I have 2 family members who lost their houses on the same block, and they are being bankrupted. Contrary to popular understanding, these neighborhoods were not just upper wealthy, they were people who were second and third generation residents. And the most recent development, or lack thereof, is the talk of handing land over to private equity developers to have their way with the neighbors. I digress. Yeah, that's it. And you know who does that? Blue and red ties getting paid off. All getting fucking greased. All of those fucking guys who are making men and women who are making 200 grand a year. That's how their fucking portfolios somehow go from 200 grand to fucking 20 million. And that's it. You hear fucking Trump talking about it all the time. I did him a big favor. And he is all man after that. You know, Trump is just, I don't know what's going on with him mentally, but he's just like openly admitting that he bribed these guys. I mean, it's not a surprise, but like that's what people do when you have the money a guy like Trump has. And I don't give a fuck if they lean left or right. That's what the fuck they do. These billionaires, this is what they do. And they just fuck regular people over, and then they point at Mexicans or Chinese people or Arabs. That's what the fuck, that's the game. That's the game. And because of the racist way it's all set up, we all just look like, well, that's a white guy, I'm a white guy, he's on my team. That's how people think. And you need to push through that. Like there's a war right now, there always has been, on your brain and getting you to have your mind right and think the way they need you to think so they can continue to keep you where they want you to be. And the way to combat that is to fucking read, and also whatever they're pointing at, here's a good exercise. Turn 180 in the opposite direction, and a lot of times you'll find the fucking real answer. Anyway, this person goes on to say, and you may already know, our state has a greater gross domestic product than every country in the world except Japan, Germany, China, and of course the whole of the U.S. And while I agree with you 100% that the endless wars in the Middle East has lended itself to hollowing out the middle class, I have to point out that California's budget is not as directly affected by that. Yes, absolutely, our standard of living and domestic investment has been obliterated because of them. We of all states have the ability to be more resilient to those effects than we have been. Why? Because we have so many resources and different ways of making money. Where a state like Iowa, which is mainly farming, that was taken over by corporations. Is that what you're saying? This is all beyond me. So this is interesting to hear. We still draw in more tax revenue than any other state. We are currently dealing with a deficit and will have to borrow against our children's future to fund the state. The current governor is not innocent in this. And while I don't think any governor is, I don't think any politician is. I don't think you get to that level of politics being innocent. I think the corruption starts at low levels, and you have to show that, like, you're okay with it, and then that's how you get funding. That, you know, this guy or this woman is part of the group, and they're going to keep the people in power in power. Anyway, I won't turn this into the current governor is not illegal. I won't turn this into a vendetta against one politician in particular, because there are many, many, many more just as responsible. I encourage you to read local newspapers from around the state that can directly point to many policies that have disrupted the growth of affordable housing over the last several years. Yeah, there's a corporation out there buying up all the houses. They're acting like they're 3 corporations. They're really only one. And, they want to be the landlord for the entire fucking country. And They don't want you to ever, like, they're taking away the American, they're just taking it away. And I guarantee you that those three corporations that are really one corporation are a big part of their budget is paying off any watchdog group in the government, any politicians, anybody that would potentially stop them from doing it. And when all of this shit goes away, the ability to own a home, they'll downplay the value of owning a home, and they'll also, Fox will blame the CNN guys will blame the Fox guys, and we will all continue to yell at each other, and a small handful of people will get all the houses. That's how it works. All right, lastly, I'll point something out that will touch upon one of your gripes with Silicon Valley. One of the policies of the last 30 years, but especially the last 15 or so, is the volume of money being directed toward investments in private technology. These are companies and startups that receive state grants under the guise of forward progress, but are really just enriching the private money associated with state leaders. It's been a disproportionate amount of money that has gone to things like that, as opposed to creating public transportation or developing reliable infrastructure. Or public schools and stuff. Honorable mentions of corruption: the incomplete high-speed rail, the missing fire aid money, and inverse result of homelessness solutions versus the rise of homelessness. Thank you for your time reading this. Yeah, well, there's somebody who's way more informed than I am. And I like the way that was written. It wasn't politicized one way or another. It's the obvious. The super rich own politicians, whatever color their tie is. And they guide them towards things that make themselves richer. And they don't give a fuck. They've never wanted to pay you. Look at them. They moved all of their companies to countries with no unions, and they pay sweatshop labor fees, and they don't care. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about their own countrymen. Forget about people in other countries. They just don't care. They're horrible fucking people. Anyway. But these regular people that they're rounding up in these vans and breaking up families, those are just hardworking people trying to improve their lives. And a lot of times they're running from a country that our own country destabilized. They elected a guy that was going to do well for their country, and we came in, got that guy out, and put our own guy in. You and I didn't do that, You do that long enough, people are like, well, fuck it. Let's get to the place where they're running the game. Anyway, I'm done. All right. Kayak capsized while listening to the Monday morning podcast. Oh, my God. That's terrifying just to fucking read that. First time writing in, funny story in hindsight to tell. In hindsight, I bet it wasn't funny when it was happening. My family took a trip to a lake house at a major, not great, New York State lake last week. Dude, any lake is fucking, as long as it's not polluted. I love a lake. I'm a pool guy, but I will swim in a lake near the shore. That's it. I hate getting out there and getting run over by some drunk in a boat. I like to listen to the podcast, relax regardless of how chaotic the energy might be. I took a kayak out on the lake on the first morning with no issues. I took a kayak out the next day and was listening to your podcast only to have my kayak capsize unexpectedly. What do you mean unexpectedly? Was there at least a wave? This person said, I was fine once the initial panic wore off, and I remembered that I had a life jacket and knew how to swim. But there were a few seconds where it crossed my mind that your podcast would be the last thing I heard before I drowned. Jesus, dude. That's intense. I was swimming fine to the shore, but a nice guy in a motorboat picked me up, and we were able to recover my sandals and the kayak. Recover your sandals? How shallow was the water? What are we doing? Oh, they floated. Phone was lost, but I'm emailing you from my new phone, so all is well. Anyways, I just want to encourage people to wear life vests even when you don't think you need them. The water is no joke. Enjoyed watching my Phillies take 2 out of 3 from your Sox during my vacation. Thanks and go fuck yourself. Hey, I enjoyed watching the Phillies, man. They're a fun fucking team. And I also liked your closer, who came in looking all fucking angry and sweaty with that long fucking hair. He looked like a fucking... He looked like he was coming out for the encore after a death metal show. Anyway, well, any other kayak people out there? Now I'm fascinated. Like, when it flips over, don't you, like, sort of use something with the paddle to get it to come back? And if it just flips over and you drop the paddle, I imagine the name of the game is calmly getting yourself out. Like, I don't understand, like, how much you're strapped in. Like, I think all the time when I'm flying a helicopter, I take myself through, like, if I ever autoed into the water. All right? And the auto is totally normal until your skids hit the water, and then you just send the cyclic to the opposite side, which rolls you over to the left in mine. All right? And you wait a moment as the blades, the water stops them pretty quickly, snaps them. And then and I remember this from the one time I skydived. I did it on a static line. And I remember you looked down before you pulled the reserve. Arc 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. Look, if nothing, look, reach, pull. So I always think, like, when you fucking bring that thing over to the left, the second you do that, look down at, it's a 3-point harness, so it's a circular attachment, and you just turn it counterclockwise. And then I'm opening the latch, and as I'm going under, I fucking go out the top, which is now the top, which is the right-hand side door. So I always think that. So if I was learning how to maneuver a kayak, the first thing I would do is I would want to be in a pool, and I would say to the person, all right, let me take a breath, tip me over, and I'm going to get out of this thing. And let's do this 10 times. And let's do this every time you're giving me a lesson. I want to do this like 5 or 6 fucking times so I can do this in my sleep. And then I would start doing it with my eyes shut in case I was in the water, usually poor visibility, especially a lake. They always seem to be like, you can't fucking see anything. So that my hands and everything would just go where they needed to be, and I could just in a calm, you panic, you're using up your oxygen and all that. That's fucking terrifying. It's really fucking terrifying. There's so much fun shit out there that can kill you very quickly. Although, I don't know. Speaking of that, I haven't commented on all of these deaths that have happened. I gotta say, I think the way Ozzy went out, the fact that he said goodbye, all of his musician friends said goodbye to him, the fact that all the money went to charity, it was just like, I feel like a storybook ending that he earned by the way he treated people. Because, I know some musicians, and they've talked about opening for him back in the 80s or whatever, and everybody always says that he was super nice, very supportive, was a fan of their band, helped them out, gave them advice. And the one time I saw Ozzy was when Black Sabbath did their reunion in the mid-2000s, and I was blown away by his obvious love and appreciation for all of us showing up. I mean, it was just all over his face. He was so psyched. He just had this fucking ear-to-ear grin, and he just brought it. And then also, I really have to say, like, that fucking guy, the level of funny that he was, and with, some of the awful shit that happened to him as a kid and how dark Black Sabbath was, combined with that sense of humor, he would have been a fucking unbelievable comedian. Like, there's some musicians out there that I listen to them when they they just, everything they say is funny, and you look at them and you think like this guy could have been a comedian. You know, both those dudes in Oasis fucking would have been amazing comedians. And Ozzy, to bring it back to him, is like his references and his sense of timing, and he wasn't even trying. He was just fucking hilarious. And I got to be honest, like I kind of took him for granted. He just was always around. And in a world without Ozzy, my God, it's just like the finality of that was took a couple of days. Unreal. And Hulk Hogan was another one. I remember when he first came out. I saw him so early on. He still hadn't shaved his chest yet. I remember he had the way he shaved it. He shaved it into like a V. Like he had it like on his chest, and then when it went down to his navel, it went down to like a point. He actually manscaped his chest hair before he shaved all of it when he first fucking came out. You know, some of the great wrestling promos of all time, the WrestleManias and all of that stuff. And I remember way back in the day, I got to meet him doing the O&A show. And we were at the Hard Rock Cafe, and he worked the crowd. Like, Opie was going, hey, you know, because he came on, he was promoting something. He said, hey, any way you could go up and maybe just one time rip your shirt off? And the crowd went nuts. And he shook his head like, nah, man, I don't want to. The crowd's like, oh, come on, just do it. And he just was, he wasn't saying anything, just fucking his head tilted to the side, his hands and all of that. And like, people were just begging him in the crowd to do it. So he shrugs his shoulders. He gets up, and because it was a long table that we were on, and he walked out in front of the fucking table. Sorry, it's helicopters going by. It's an A-Star. I'm not dead. What he has there is an A-Star. You mean that thing you're not fucking ready to fly in? Shut the fuck up, you bald cunt. Anyway, he walked out in front of the table, and he looks at the crowd, and they're going nuts. And then he just looked back at all of us, and he just kind of like shrugged and pointed at the crowd like, I mean, then acting like they weren't into it. And then we were all like, no, you got to do it. We were getting louder. So then we're like, come on, you got to do it. So then he sort of shrugged his shoulders and like half-ass leaned down, you know, and cupped his hand to his ear. The place was like, it felt like the fucking roof was going to blow off. And he was still working us. And I had no idea. I totally fell for it. And I'm like, no. And he just kept shrugging. It's like, you gotta fucking do it. And then all of a sudden, this last time, when he turned around, dude, like a switch flipped on him. And his face was not the face that you had seen. He was in the Hulkster fucking, like, this crazy look went into his eyes. And he fucking turned around and looked at us. And I stopped cheering. I was like, is he mad at us? Is he going to flip the table over? And then he fucking stomped. He did this 180, but it was like 3 big stomps. And he fucking looked at the crowd with that crazy look. And he went fucking way down and put his hand up to his fucking ear. The place went fucking nuts. And he just ripped his fucking shirt off and did all the down, up, to the fucking side. And then fucking ripped. The place went fucking bananas. Fucking bananas. Like, he made the Hard Rock Cafe as loud as the fucking Pontiac Silverdome. And to be able to see that live, you know, from up close the way that I did, I like all the fucking crazy moments on Opie and Anthony, like that was probably the highlight. It was fucking, to be courtside seats to fucking Hulkamania was pretty fucking amazing. And then lastly, Malcolm Jamal Warner. I mean, that one was brutal because he's actually younger than I am. So to see somebody like that, and I watched the Cosby Show. I mean, you have no idea how fucking huge that show was. when it was on NBC. It was the beginning of must-see TV. And I don't even remember what the fuck was on after that. Was it A Different World? I can't remember, but it was just like everybody's TV. It was either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night. I can't remember, but it was Channel 4. That was it. You were on fucking Channel 4. And I think I was a couple years older than he was. So I kind of went through my teenage years with him on TV. And then followed his career afterwards. The tragedy of, I can't remember if it was his fiancee, her passing away or whatever. But what I loved about his whole life was the way he conducted himself and, you know, being a child star and all of that. He never had like that, all of that, you know, ended up in like a rehab house and all of that. Like he always was happy. He was always positive, always was rooting for fucking people. Just a brutal week. But anyway, that's kind of a weird place to end this podcast, but that's how it ended. That's what it is. Anyway, that's it. That is the podcast. I don't know what else to say. Have a great couple of days. Can you say that before you say go fuck yourself? I think I just did. Go fuck yourselves, and I will check in on you on Thursday. Red Sox got the Twins coming up next. I'm on board. I'll watch this 57-50 team. It's a good time. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you on Thursday.